Today's project goes back quite a bit. It's an Art Deco cat flap. Like my best projects, it doesn't really serve a purpose. I had the idea about 18 months ago when looking at a nearby house that has blocked out an entire pane of their front window to allow a cat flap to be mounted in its place. It has always struck me as a mad idea for several reasons, but it got me thinking, why are cat flaps so ugly? I was still thinking about my post-it note drawing sometime later, the sign of an idea worth developing. I decided to give developing it a shot and started by making the flap out of stained glass. I've never made stained glass before, and I wasn't really happy with how lumpy my first attempt was, so the project went on the back burner. I found myself thinking about the project again recently and realised I could simplify it by making the surround out of sculpting foam. The foam arrived and the sculpting went surprisingly well. I was shocked at how quickly it felt like something from the 1920s without the need for extra decoration. I wanted a stone-like finish though, and this brought about the slowest part of the entire project, the repetitive process of rendering it with polyfiller and sanding it back. I simplified my ambitions with a flap as well, and decided to take another crack, if you'll excuse the pun, at the stained glass, employing a much simpler design than before. A new soldering iron helped, and having learned from my first attempt, the new one came out so much better. As pretty as the silver solder was, it was almost as reflective as the glass, so I had to concede to blackening the lead. I think it was worth it in the end, as it contrasts way better against the white render. This project was destined for feature creep, and with both the surround and the stained glass flap pretty much finished, I realised I then needed something to mount the flap into. This presented a nice opportunity to design a sympathetically styled wallpaper. I did a couple more sketches of patterns to match the new glass, mocked it all up in the computer, then began worrying about how I could actually produce the paper. Sometimes the simplest solution is the answer, and I ended up making it work with a ruler and some gold markers, which also turned out way better than I expected. With the wallpaper made, the last thing to make was a miniature stud wall to mount it all into. It's always exciting to see a post-it note sketch become a reality. It's great. It's simultaneously a ridiculous idea and one that I reckon people would actually buy. It's a pity I don't have a cat that can use it though. Thanks for watching.